Welcome to Financial Focus, brought to you by GulfCoast Financial Services founder and CEO, John Kuykendall. John and his team of financial, legal, and tax professionals have been providing North Florida savers and investors sound, comprehensive financial guidance for over 30 years, helping you to achieve important life and planning goals. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and tune in for more Financial Focus by visiting GulfCoastFinancial.net.
And welcome into the program. This is Financial Focus, brought to you by the best of the best in financial services, as named by the readers of the Lake City Reporter. 8 straight years and running, they are the team from GulfCoast Financial Services, celebrating 31 years in assisting proactive planners, North Central Florida savers and investors in formulating the plan, executing the plan to achieve your financial and retirement goals. And founder and CEO John Kuykendall here with us as always. John, another sunny day and another day where we emphasize the importance of having that plan in place to address some of the many concerns that we are facing with our money.
Well, Peter, if you're in retirement, it's a sunny day if you have money in the bank and you know where you're going to be able to pay your bills next month. But that's not always the case. One of the hardest things I think that we have to do as advisors is to sit down and work with a client or a prospect and say, hey, there's really nothing I can do for you. You have overspent. You're at the end of your money, but you still have 10 or 15 years to go. And there's no way for us to really help them. I had that occasion this week to meet with a couple, and they had grossly overspent early in retirement, bought a big home, did a remodeling, all this stuff, spent all their money. And then, as they they had to take money out to live on, we just couldn't keep up with their spending. And so now, they've cut back, but it's way too late. Yeah,
I'm certain, John, there is a point at which cash flow is relatively sustainable and predictably maintainable, that we, with projections and planning and addressing certain risks and variables, can look out into the future and forecast success. But there's also probably some gray area and then some lines of trajectory that just look like we're going to go off the cliff or not have that successful retirement that we all envision. And maybe some course correction is possible at a certain point in time, but not really without hard evaluation and planning.
Well, that's it, Peter. We've always said on our program, we specified this financially focused income plan. And I truly believe that if you have an income plan, you have a budget, and you have a projection of where you're going, you got a roadmap, you can get there. But if you retire and just say, hey, the market makes 10% a year, and I'm just not going to worry about it, I'm only taking out 5% or 4%, you're going to run out of money. It's just natural. And because expenses come up, things happen, things that we don't project, they come along. And so it's really important that people get that income plan that we talk about so adamantly on this show. And, it's free of charge. I don't know why more people don't want to take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's right. No cost, no obligation. You make that service available to listeners to this program, to family and friends of clients, maybe coworkers that they have talked to, word of mouth, really anyone throughout North Central Florida or even across the country, to have that conversation and help them to plan proactively and specifically get that written financial focused retirement income plan in place, and not a opportunity to pass on, ladies and gentlemen. This is for your benefit in your financial future and your security and quality of life in retirement. Pick up the phone if you'd like to take advantage. 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. The cost is just an investment of your time, in fact, to review and evaluate your goals and your current financial situation. And then John and his team at GulfCoast Financial Services will do the legwork and the rest of the heavy lifting in putting the plan together to help your current situation map out forward steps to achieve those goals into the future. Again, 386-755-9018, 9018. And John, if we are going to need some course correcting, I'm certain that is easier to do sooner rather than later. I know if I'm getting off track in a trip, the further I go, the more off track I get. So addressing that now here today is probably our best opportunity. And John, if maybe you did hear from a close friend or acquaintance, and they had the question of, what do I need to do? What are the steps that I need to take, John, in order to have that more secure retirement and basically answer the question, am I ready to retire? Am I in good financial shape?
Well, the one thing we talk about is we when we're working up the income plan, we're looking at the amount of money that you're going to have predictably coming in every month. And so that's what we call cash flow. How much are you going to cash flow each month? Then we look up at the budget and what you're projecting you're going to spend. And then, Peter, that's the shortfall. Now, the key to the whole plan is, how are we going to take care of that shortfall and also take care of inflation going forward? Because we know, at least certainly after the last couple of years, that inflation is with us. It's got some form is going to be with us. And historically, it has been with us forever. So we have to plan to be able to take out more out of our accounts. So when we look at that, Peter, we come up with an income plan. It's really very simple. It's not complicated. It doesn't take a lot of work on the person, the retiree's part, but it does take a little bit of calculation on ours and looking at how we're going to best take the money out of the buckets you have and how we're going to live with it and how we're going to set up the buckets going forward, so that we're sure of at least some type of predictable success.
Well, planning results in confidence, and confidence is quality of life in retirement. We've got to have that plan in place. John, you've also got a list of behaviors of financially successful people in retirement, things that people do in order to improve the outlook and the odds of that successful retirement. What are some of the things that we need to be doing?
Well, the one thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and start working on a budget and stick to it, Peter. I mean, a lot of people, they just fly by the seat of their pants and spend what they want. And unfortunately, Amazon is your worst enemy late at night.
Isn't it? I know it is in my household, John.
It's not free when that Amazon truck pulls up at your house.
The boxes just keep on coming and coming, brother.
My dogs have been trying to get rid of that Amazon man for a time.
They're telling you something.
They haven't been able to get rid of him. He still comes. I don't know what it is. And it's after I'm in bed. So I don't know how these packages keep coming. And then they stick to it. And then they invest a certain amount of their household income in retirement, hopefully about 15% of their pre-retirement income. If they stick that away and invest it properly, then they'll have that nest egg. Unfortunately, a lot of people, Peter, are really good about trying to save money, but they're not really good at managing money. And so they think, well, I'm saving 15% and therefore I'm going to be okay. But they really have to, that's their money. They have to take possession of it. I call it, seems like sometimes when people put money away in a 401k or a 403b or a retirement account, they tend to forget about it. They don't act like it's their money. Have you had that problem?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the byproducts of the 401k mentality, that things are on autopilot, out of sight, out of mind. On one hand, John, it's a benefit that it actually happens before we even see our money. But on the other hand, I agree with you there that it probably has some negatives as well, in the fact that people are forgetting about those accounts or even just forgetting to do the routine maintenance on those accounts that ultimately leads to further success.
Well, yeah, it's like the guy who says, I got my 401k statement, I didn't open it, I just stuck it in the drawer. Mm-hmm. And the market's off 50%. The pain's already there. You might as well go ahead and open the envelope. So it's amazing to me. And then, a lot of times we need to live within our means. My most successful retirees are the ones that live within their means. And, they save money, they're frugal with what they do, but at the same time, they have fun, they do things, but they don't do it excessively. And a lot of times, I think in our society today, it's okay for debt, it's okay for credit cards, and so we need all that stuff we need, but necessarily we don't have to have it. And I think that's a mentality we have to get over.
Well, we want to enjoy retirement without the fear of spending too much too early or big expenses late in life completely derailing things. There are many additional variables that are included in the financial focused written retirement income plan, John, that really are not things addressed during our working years and the planning style of accumulation that we have when the paycheck takes care of these needs. Will you talk about some of those variables that are included, that must be included in the financial focused written retirement income plan that maybe people have not addressed as much or to as great or the same extent during our working years?
Well, I can tell you this, Peter, from my experience and in working with the plan and also my personal experience, we have to deal with inflation. We talked about that. But one of the biggest things, we have to deal with taxes, because everything that we make in retirement has a consequence. So I can sell that. I had a client come in and say they wanted to sell their company stock because they didn't like the company anymore. Well, that would have been fine, but it would have put them in a higher Part B plus a higher tax bracket, and that would have affected their tax situation tremendously next year. So those are the things we have to kind of look at. Taxation, we have to look at medical. We don't worry about medical as much while we're working, but as we've talked about on this show, Medicare doesn't pay for long-term care. 70% of everybody over 65 is going to need some type of long-term care. The average for women is around 3.5 years. The average for a man is around 2. So somewhere we're going to need to provide for long-term care coverage or for our medical costs. When you retire, medical isn't free. You still pay for your supplements and your insurance and all the stuff. You may be able to get a great plan and get free medical, but you're going to pay for it as much as you're paying for your company plan or more now. So those are all the things that we address.
Yeah. And inflation, one that we have certainly felt the bite of this year. Taxation is something that's sort of a constant nagging thorn in our side. Those medical expenses, John, we hope we never have to deal with or incur larger or extraordinary type of medical expenses, but over a long enough time span, many of us do, and we've got a plan for those expenses, plus just the routine costs of care while we are living a daily healthy life. And even as we begin to age, those ailments begin to add up. The prescriptions can also add up, the cost of those drugs. So all of those things are often left off of the table and out of the conversation during talks of accumulation, right? During the choose these mutual funds, here's the rate of return, here's the savings amount that we should be shooting for. Those conversations are quite different than the ones that you're talking about here. And then above all, as you started with and coming full circle, filling that shortfall. How do we get the assets to fill that income gap for us?
That's right. And, Peter, that's the main difference between an accumulation plan, or the way we used to do it, and the income plan is when I'm looking at picking mutual funds and saying, okay, you can pull this much money out of here, and at the end of your life, you're going to have this much money left over. We haven't taken into consideration all the things that we do when we do an income plan. We haven't looked at inflation, taxes, healthcare. We haven't looked at maximizing Social Security. All those things are important, and we need to do those in an income plan to make sure that we get it right. But, it does we have come full circle in this planning. And to me, I'm just, like I said, I'm really shocked that more people don't take advantage of it, because it is free. It has developed into very precise and very detailed, without a lot of pages, plan that is something that you can update every year and know where you stand.
Well, it also seems, John, inflation, taxation, market volatility, longevity, these are all factors that seem to impact retirees to a much more significant, higher degree than they impact us. We feel it when we're working, but not as much as it impacts our lifestyle and our sense of confidence and quality of life once we are retired.
Well, when you're working, you still got that paycheck, and so that paycheck's coming in, and you know how much you have, and you're spending that amount. But the thing is that when you're retired, you don't have that paycheck anymore. You are the paycheck. And so what you do pre-retirement to set up your check and make sure that your check's going to last through retirement is what's important. And so many people forget that. During our working years, it's easy to take care of the medical and all the other things that we have in the inflation because it's all built in. If we have inflation, we probably get paid more. In retirement, you don't get paid more. You get paid based off of your money, and it's whatever you've done for yourself is what you're going to have in retirement.
Well, nobody wants to run out of money, but unfortunately, sometimes people still do. And in large part, that is something that we could address in the planning process. Now, every situation is different and unique and specific, but we can improve our outlook significantly through planning and through addressing many of the risks and the variables that have the biggest impact and can cause us to run out of money. And even if that is not a concern, still being efficient as possible with our dollars is a goal for many. And so on today's program, we've discussed these issues and the importance of having that financial focused written retirement income plan, ladies and gentlemen, is the confidence and the quality of life into and throughout retirement. And as John has mentioned, they help savers and investors better determine their outcome by making their goals into a plan to become reality. And specifically, if you would like to learn how to craft that plan to address many of retirement's biggest risks, our current concerns and big variables that can impact us, that's the financially focused written retirement income planning process. No cost, no obligation. Pick up the phone and give GulfCoast Financial Services, John Kuykendall and his team a call. 386-755-9018. That is 386-755-9018. 386-755-9018. John, always a pleasure. And I appreciate the fact that you continually remind us of the importance of having that written retirement income plan, because it is something that is by and large absent during the course of most people's investment experience. So we need a retooling and re-education on this.
Well, we do, Peter. And unfortunately, we don't get the word out enough. We need to get it out more. This income plan is so valuable, and it will make your retirement so much easier because you know how much money you've got coming in, what you can do. And we plan in the income plan for those little things you want, like your trip overseas or whatever. And we work that into the plan. So it's just a great way to be safe and make sure you have, like I said, one of the hardest things we have to do is tell you that you spent too much and we can't help you.
Well, that's why you need to get the plans in your hands to improve your outlook into 2023 and beyond. Pick up the phone, give GulfCoast Financial Services and John Kuykendall a call. 386-755-9018. That is 386-755-9018. John, again, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Look forward to seeing you again.
Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and tune in for more financial focus by visiting GulfCoastFinancial.net. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature and not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes. John Kuykendall is registered with and securities are offered through Kovac Securities Inc., member FINRA SIPC, found online at www.kovacsecurities.com. Advisory services are offered through GulfCoast Financial Services Inc., a registered investment advisor in Florida. GulfCoast Financial Services Inc. is not affiliated with Kovac Securities Inc. or Kovac Advisors Inc. Past performance is not indicative of future results. All investing involves risk. Investment decisions should be based on your own goals, time horizon, and tolerance for risk. Due to various factors including changing market conditions and/or applicable laws, the content may no longer be reflective of current opinions or positions.